Hey guys, Untap Your Go here, and today I'm bringing you a deck for the 2020 Standard. This is day 2 now of Zendikar, and this will be my first day actually playing with Zendikar cards. And today I decided to play Mono Blue Mill. We actually crafted this in the last video with my pack openings, but I did forget a few cards. I crafted the Maddening Cacophonies, but I never actually put them in the list. And I also completely forgot about Vantress Gargoyle, so I ended up adding that and I made a few adjustments to the deck. But we're going to break it down real quick for those of you who haven't seen it, and then we're going to jump into some videos and see how, or some games and see how we do. So to break it down, we have, to start off, a few copies of Merfolk Secret Keeper. I don't want to max out on this anymore because we have Ruin Crab. Ruin Crab is just the better mill piece altogether. So this mill is 4 for 1 blue, and then we get a 0-4 for 1 blue after the fact. This we get for 1 blue is 0-3 with landfall. Whenever a land enters battlefield, we're milling 3, so that's going to add up. Then we have some Zolaport Cutthroats, or Duelists, I mean, to flash in, chump, trade with some creatures, nullify some damage. Anti-Cognition, this is the new counterspell. It's kind of like Drown Lock, except it's not also a Doomblade effect, and it doesn't counter just everything. So, but since we're just playing mono blue, this is the best option that we have, and we're almost always guaranteed to have 8 or more cards in their graveyard, so it's going to be a hard counter against creatures and planeswalkers. We have all 4 copies of Maddening Cacophony because obviously milling 8 and then kickering it to mill half is fantastic. All 4 copies of Gargoyle for blocking, some early game blocking, and like, you know, it's also a secondary win condition where we can just get in overhead and just beat face for 5, so that's going to help us close out some games. We have 4 copies of Teferi's Tutelage. We get to draw some cards with this, and when we draw, we're milling our opponent. We have all 4 copies of Brazen Borrower, so we can bounce and interact with our opponent's board state a little bit, as well as having another Clock in the Air to pair with Vantress Gargoyle to close out the game. We have 2 copies of Didn't Say Please. It's just a hard counter spell. It also mills. We have 4 copies of End of the Story. Draw 4 for 4 in this deck specifically. It's pretty good. And then we have 1 copy of Seagate Restoration. This is one of the new DFCs from Zendikar. It comes into play untapped if you pay 3 life on the land side, and it taps for a blue. And then on the front side, it's not really as good of a card really, but you pay 7, 4 and 3 blue for a sorcery. Draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand plus 1. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. Card's not fantastic, but as like a one of, it also replaces one of our lands. We have 24 lands total if you include this card. Most of the time we're probably going to be playing this as a land, but there's going to be the occasional chance where we top deck it in the late game and we actually have a few cards in our hand, and then we can like pair it with Teferi's Tutelage to just win the game. Because if this is your top deck and you have no cards in hand, you're just drawing 1 for 7 mana and then getting no maximum hand size for the rest of the game, so it's not like the best card. You don't want to see it that often. And then to finish off the mana base, we have 2 copies of Castle Vantress for scrying action, 15 islands, 2 Mystic Sanctuary to buy back our instants and sorceries, and 4 Fabled Passage. This is exclusively for the Ruin Crab and to like shuffle away some cards we might not want. Just having the opportunity to do it's fine, and then we're also being able to mill 6 off of the crab. It's just a good pair to have it in the deck. And that is Mono Blue Hedron Restoration Mill in 2020 Standard. I hope you guys enjoy. If you guys do, please consider leaving a like and a comment down below, as well as hitting that subscribe button and the bell for notifications to stay up to date with more content like this. And with that, I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys at the wrap up. Alright, going into our first game, I'm pretty excited to see how the format is shaping up to be with 2020 Standard and everything rotating, and it's got to be very refreshing. I'm sure a lot of you guys are excited. I'm very excited as well. We're going to take this in the first game against Micro. We are on the draw, but I think we have a pretty decent curve, so I will keep this. Maddening Cacophony turns on or Into the Story by itself, and we drew into a Teferi's Tutelage, so that's another good mill piece for our curve. Our opponent with nothing. Probably playing against Dimir Flash, or some version of Control maybe. Submit 0 for the creature, doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and get in for 1. See if our opponent decides to kill it maybe. Flash in their creature. Nope. So they're most likely going to counter this, I assume. It's going to be the new Censor, probably. Or Force Spike, I mean. No? Hey, they let it resolve. Interesting. So they're playing blue-black Flash. This is Dimir Flash, so they either they didn't have a counterspell or they actually wanted cards in their graveyard. Not quite sure for what purpose. Now they probably have a counterspell. So our Brazen Borrower is probably what we're going to end up doing here. Go ahead and attack. See if he wants to flash in and trade. And if he does, we know we can land. Alright, cool. So we know we can stick our Teferi's Tutelage. I might actually play that versus bouncing the Slither-Wisp here. The Slither-Wisp is going to give them a decent amount of card advantage, but I can bounce it next turn. Just sticking that, making sure that it sticks is good. Anti-Cognition is really good for us too. Vantress Gargoyle might be good, but I think I'm going to have to ship one for now. Our opponent can start getting in a little bit aggressively. Next turn, we can set our land up and hold up Brazen Borrower and Anti-Cognition to kind of slow down our opponent's game plan. They play most of their creatures on our turn anyway, so that gives us the opportunity to have our lands untapped. Alright, opponent, what you got? Alright, our opponent decides to main phase Cunning Nightbonder. Maybe they're trying to draw. Trying to get the card advantage here. Go ahead and mill them for 2 more, and we're just going to pass it up. Brazen Borrower or Teferi's Tutelage. I'll just go ahead and bounce that now then. Opponent's got Brazen Borrowers of their own, so this is like more of, this is more like mill. This is like rogue mill, just splashing in with the Mirror Flash. This is an interesting build, combining like 2 archetypes, I suppose. Yep, get your 2 damage in. It's probably about to play Zareth. Yep. So that's not casting it, so unfortunately that gets around my counter spells. Let's go ahead into Teferi's Tutelage first. We might draw into the crab. No, it's not terrible though. Opponent with 35 cards left in their library. I think we actually discard the Secret Keeper here. Keep that into play and pass it up. Smart opponent. Probably should have waited until my turn, I guess. Now my stuff can't be countered. Alright, let's go ahead and try to draw some cards. Actually, I should have waited until my end step. Silly me. Opponent's just got Slither-Wisp, that's fine. Right, opponent's down to 22 cards, and we have 2 Ruin Crabs. I can't counter any of their spells anymore, so holding up the counter spells are irrelevant. I think we go ahead and buy back the Maddening Cacophony. Play another crab. Now our opponent's in a lot of trouble. I think we have exactly lethal with Mill here if they don't kill us or counter our stuff. So we're going to be milling them for 8 plus 2 for this, so that's 10 plus 6 from these with the 6 each, so 12. Yeah, we have lethal if our opponent doesn't kill us. We actually only need one of the crabs to live. Okay. Alright, another main phase Slither-Wisp. I don't know why he's just going to play them. It's helping me out, actually. Yep, our opponent realizes that he's done, and he needs to be aggressive. But leaving up no counter magic or even... Okay, well there's that. We don't have 8 or more cards in our library, so they can't be playing their own copy of Anti-Cognition. We might have Drown in the lock. Let's try this first main phase. Alright, our opponent has no counter spells, and they have shown us that. That is game. Our opponent with 0 cards left in their library, and I will pass it up. Good game, opponent. Got there with Mill against the Rogue Mill. Alright, my apologies everybody. I didn't realize that I still had my webcam position set in a way to where you really couldn't see much of the last game. I wish I had caught it sooner, but I'm going to try to be more diligent about that to be able to provide you guys better content. So we're into our next game against Lanky 1991, and they are on the play. I don't think we keep this hand. I don't like that the Sanctuary comes in tapped, followed by a passage that's guaranteed to come in tapped as well, so we're going to mulligan this. This hand seems a little bit better. We can at least start off with the Sanctuary first. Play the Ruin Crab. I might even start off... Yeah, we're going to have to start off with one of these tapped regardless, so I'm going to put back... Let's put back the Anti-Cognition. I mean the, End of the Story. Keep the Anti-Cognition. Seems like they're on mono white life gain, so that's going to come up. Being able to counter their stuff is probably going to be relevant. We'll start off with this because it has the island typing for this to come into play untapped next turn, guaranteeing us to have 2 mana. And that's unfortunate, missing our land drop. Alright. Well, I think we start off with Crab this turn. Landfall, null the opponent for 3. Play our second Crab. We actually hit a Heliod and a Daxos, so that's really good. Tyrannica, huh? I guess now is the time for her to start seeing some play, right? Now that the format's slowing down a little bit. Seems pretty good. Cool, so we hit our land drop. We're going to hit our opponent for 6. And we're going to go ahead and play our Teferi's Tutelage. It might have been smarter to hold up the Anti-Cognition for the opponent's potential Heliod or something. But I think having this down just ensures us that we're going to maximize our mill over the course of the game. Alright, Light of Promise for our opponent, which means the Speaker of the Heavens is going to become an issue really quick. Hopefully we can draw into a Brazen Borrower soon. I'm okay with taking 7. Three Maddening Cacophonies, huh? So our opponent definitely has enough cards in their graveyard for this to work. So as much as I really want to sorcery speed mill them here, I'm going to pass it up and hope that they try to cast something that we can counter with this and try to scry for our lands. Because if we could find a land, then we're milling 6 with the Crabs, and then we're going to mill 16 off the double Maddening Cacophonies, and that's going to help us close out the game. That's a perfect card for us to counter. I have no problem trading the Anti-Cognition for that. So if I draw on a Tutelage, I can play it and draw into my land for turn. Yeah, I think that's the play. Alright, so we have to throw one of our Crabs under the bus here. Still not having much of a way of dealing with this Speaker of Heavens is actually a big problem for us too. Huh. Opponent's still at 34 cards. Yeah, this one's actually not looking too great for us. all things considered. Opponent's down to 27 cards. We're taking at least 7 here. If these two don't grow and we can stay alive for one more turn, we might have a chance. It's very slim. But this is, I think this is definitely our last turn for sure. Maybe with the scry I should have dug deeper for interaction. Alright. Our opponent's definitely got lethal for sure next turn. Another tutelage, huh? Opponent's down to 22. Playing this draws a card and mills them for 6. That's not good. So I can mill them for 16, and it's just not enough. They had 6 cards left, and we're going to give our opponent the good game. Close. 5 cards was close though, and like that's the thing I like about mill. I mean, even when you lose, the games that you're getting closer and closer to actually winning they seem to be happening a lot more consistent, a lot more reoccurring. Like, we could have been stuck at 30 cards, but I just got them down to 5 in that last turn and try to fight for the victory there. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to give it to my opponent, but we're gonna try again for sure. All right, going into game 3, I'm gonna try to be a little bit more reactive this time around. This is a weird hand. I mean, we have like some reactive spells, I guess. Play Castle. We can play Vantress Gargoyle. It's gonna. All right, never mind. Our opponent was just too intimidated. They saw the shark and they said, you know what? It's gonna be mill. Not having it. It's supposed to be like, if I say it fast, it says something. 10 base T. 10 base T. Ambassador? I just 10 base T. I don't know. I'm at a loss. Alright, our opponent's on the play, but our opening hand seems pretty ridiculous, so I'm gonna keep this for sure. Double crab into Cacophony. Seems great. Didn't say please for some counter. Teferi's Tutelage for some consistent mill. We're going to say hello to the pup. So like in most cases, I probably would have started off with Fabled Passage just to ensure that I had it to come into play untapped. But because that we're playing the crab, I definitely want to maximize. Whoops, I didn't play the crab. Well, for that mistake, I'm just going to go ahead and mill 8 to maximize on my mana here. I'm going to pass it up. Opponent already down to 40 cards by turn 2. Okay. Play our second crab here. Go ahead and mill our opponent for 12. Seeing that our opponent has Loris in the graveyard means that we're actually helping them out a little bit. But if we can keep up this pace, I think that we can close out the game before they can start establishing their engines. Our opponent down to 28 cards by turn 3. 27 cards by their turn 4. Yeah, and I don't think just playing one threat at a time per turn is really going to get them there. Alright, so this is whenever you cast. No, it's whenever it enters the battlefield. Alright, so that's even better. Our opponent's going to try to get some value out of this, and we can just hold up Didn't Say Please. I would hold up the Gargoyle, but our Gargoyle can't block because we won't have 4 cards in our hand by the time we play it. And Teferi's Tutelage, we can play it, but then we're not maximizing on our mana. and then our opponent can just slam something that could potentially ruin our plans. So I'm just going to pass it up, hold up the counterspell. Opponent down to their last 20 on turn 5. Like, I like looking at the animation comparison. Their graveyard is like clearly more stacked than their deck, and that's just like such a satisfying feeling when you're playing, when you're the mill player. Ooh, ooh, all that glitters would be so good for you. And our opponent scoops it up. Good game, opponent. I don't know. We just had like such a crazy start. I don't think there was much they could do no matter what. So we're off to a pretty good streak here so far. I believe we're either 3-1 or 4-0. I'm pretty sure we lost. Yeah, we definitely lost one of the games. But going into game 5 against Nana or Hannah, whichever suits your fancy. Double crab is nice, but I'm not too sure that the rest of the hand is all that great. This will be turned on almost immediately, though. We can buy it back with the sanctuary. Yeah, it's not terrible. Start off with turn 1 crab. Alright, our opponent with the unsummon. Whoops. I do it every time. Every time I do it. We're just gonna go ahead and double crab. I gotta stop doing that because I'm gonna keep missing. Like that was 3 mil I could have just got right there. Alright. Definitely gotta focus. That's a pretty good draw for us, actually. Go ahead and just get a double mill here. Mill them for 12. We're gonna pass it up, keep up our counterspell for something, or our Brazen Borrower if we need it. And our opponent gives it up. We had a pretty good, again, we had a pretty good start, even with our misplays. Hey, look, Karn been hitting the gym. Alright, going on game 6 against Luis Antonio. These have been some really quick games, surprisingly. I thought they would take a lot longer with our strategy, but Mill is the business in Standard. It's serious. See, our opponent gets it. Our opponent understands. He knows exactly what is up. Hit our opponent with the nice. Double crab for our opponent. Wow. Wow. It's the mirror match. This is crazy. Wow. I don't think the anti-cognition is going to be too relevant. The only creatures we can counter are like the gargoyle and the crab. It's not super relevant. Alright, our opponent down to 42. We're down to 44, so technically we're beating them on the race, but we're going to slowly fall behind to their double crab. Opt for our opponent. Probably trying to find a land. I thought about that for a second. Did our opponent fail to get a land? Wait, did they? Our opponent failed to get land. Huh. Okay, well that gives us a shot. I decided to keep those cards on there knowing that they would be milled. Makes sense. Huh. So I can mill our opponent for 8 more this turn. Or I can get down my tutelage and start getting that engine going. I think honestly this might just be faster right now. Go ahead and play that first. Pass it up to our opponent. We've been hitting some pretty good targets with this too. I haven't hit any maddening cacophonies of our opponents. So either they're not playing it or they just had a really bad draw versus ours. They're hitting some of our cards. They're getting it. 32 versus 28. They're milling a lot. Like they're milling 9 cards a turn. It's really good. Another maddening cacophony for us. Put them down to 20. But my 8 versus their 9 isn't going to be as efficient. Huh. I can hold up the borrower. Try to counter maybe their Teferi if they try to play it. Find our land drops. Raise and borrower one of their crabs, but they're going to get their land drop first. And if I play tutelage, they're only milling 2 more this turn versus 8, so they'd be down to 26, plus the draw is 25. We're down to 31, so our opponent's we've kept pretty even almost in pace, but our opponent's going to pull ahead of this game if we don't do something quick about this situation. And we need to find our land drops though. That's a must, so I think we're just going to pass it up here. Our opponent with frantic inventory. They don't have a Teferi's tutelage of their own, thank the Lord for that. Right, another ruin crab for our opponent. Just gonna go ahead and counter that. They might have an anti-cognition of their own here, which I think they did, otherwise they wouldn't have held priority there. They're probably going to save it for our next spell. Right. Opponent milled quite a few cards, down to 22. Land for us, pretty good. Go ahead and mill our opponent for another 8. Alright, our opponent down to 14. Bouncing the crab really just doesn't seem good. Maybe like bouncing it in response to like a Fable Passage activation or something. Does our opponent play Fable Passage in their deck? They don't. They should be. Yep. This is intense. 12 to their 10. Overwhelmed Apprentice for our opponent. Good thing is, no matter what they scry here, we can mill it. Okay. Alright, no attackers for our opponent. As bad as it sounds, I guess just target this, force him to sack it, maybe. It's a pretty good draw for us. It's Teferi's tutelage first. If we hit another crab, then we win the game. Okay, that's fair. Fair enough. Opponent down to their bottom 7, and we're at our bottom 9. One more land and that's victory for them. That's pretty scary. Ooh. Down to 5. Oh my god, did they not get a land? Oh man. They most likely have a counterspell, right? No. Ooh. Hit him with a good game. That was a really, really, really good game. Down to the bottom 2. Good game, Luis Antonio. I give you props for that, man. Alright, going into our final game against Insider. Right, opponent's on the play, and this hand is terrible. We're going to send that back. This hand is way better. I think we're going to keep the Gargoyle over the second Duelist, just in case. This is good against certain matchups where this is probably just good overall. Start off with our Crab. Opt for our opponent, potentially. They thought very hard for that opt. Not sure if whether or not to fire it, I guess. Our opponent realizes that we're just gonna win because the crab is life. Alright, no action from our opponent. I could play the Fable Passage to guarantee 6 here before they interact with my crab, but I honestly feel like playing the island's probably better. Holding up Duelist because I feel... Actually, if I play Gargoyle, they're most likely going to counter it. Just seeing the colors. So, play this. Get the mill for 6. Get some more information. Yeah, they're the Rogues deck. Okay. Peer into the Abyss. Interesting card selection. Interesting, for sure. For sure, maybe. For sure, not. For sure, for sure, bomb. Go ahead and mill our opponent a little bit more. Hit our opponent's Teferi's Tutelage. And we're going to save this Duelist for potential combat trick. Alright. And this does not have flying. Unfortunate. So I can at least get the mill effect off of it. Sure. Before you draw, get any sort of card advantage. Go ahead and nullify that now. Ooh, actually I could have scry. Oh man. I wonder if I held full control there, I think I actually could have milled in response to the scry. Probably what I should have did. Noted for future reference. Double passage. My opponent must feel pretty good about themselves right this minute. Alright, Borrower for us is pretty good. Mill our opponent some more. We hit it to Fairy. I think in this situation, get in with the Duelist. Wouldn't you know? I might as well bounce this now while our opponent's tapped out. here comes Rankle. No, drowning a lock for our opponent. That's unfortunate. Alright, another land for us. Yeah, I think we have to play the tutelage here. Discard the land. Pass it up. We're still ahead of our opponent by a little bit, not too much. Ooh. That's pretty good. Okay. Yikes, this is awkward. Get to pass it up here. Our opponent most likely has counter magic. No? Are they gonna kill it in response? No. Okay. Our opponent has almost tied it up. It's great for them. Let's go ahead and mill our opponent. Down to 25 cards. This mill's for 8. I think I start off with the gargoyle. Our opponent might not attack. I mean, gargoyle's been out for a long time, so if you don't know it can't block. Yeah, opponent read the card, sure. But they might spend a spell on it, which wouldn't be terrible either. Alright, opponent's still getting in for the attacks. And I will go ahead and block the 2. Down to 4. Alright, just going to pass it up. And our opponent doesn't know that we can still block this turn with our gargoyle. Though they might have another drown in the lock. That would be unfortunate. Let's see, 1, 2. Yeah, I only see 2 copies in their yard. Odds are they have another one. Before they get the draw, or the mill. I mean. Yep. Okay. Down to our final 2. And that's unfortunately not going to help us. Huh. Let's go ahead and scry 2, why not? Sure. Good game our opponent and pass it up. Very unfortunate. They had everything they needed. Last Full Mimic seems really good. No blocks. Alright, opponent. Hey guys, welcome back with the wrap up. And today we went 4-3 in standard 2020 ranked. And I'm pretty impressed with the deck. I think it needs a little bit more interaction overall, but otherwise it provided a very strong example of how strong Mill can be in this format right now. I think Standard right now is definitely in for a run of its money with Mill. A lot of people are going to hate it. A lot of people are going to hate it, but there's so many versions of the deck you can build. Mono Blue, Dimir Rogues. You might even be able to go with a Sultai build. I'm interested in building Sultai with Ruin Crab and Uro and just go super heavy with the lands. And I mean, I'm curious to try that out as well. But either way, I hope you guys really enjoyed the gameplay. And if you did, please consider leaving that like in the comment down below. And if you guys have any decks of your own in Mono Blue or any cards that I didn't include, please leave your deck lists or card suggestions down below, and I'll consider giving them a try in future videos. And please consider hitting that subscribe and the bell for notifications to keep up to date with more content like this. And that's it, guys. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will catch you guys next time.